Welcome to What's the Point? I'm Bill Ellis. Each week I talk with people about the moments that shape them, the choices that change them, and what those stories might spark in you. So with that said, let's get into today's conversation. Hi, and welcome to What's the Point? I'm Bill Ellis, and this is a podcast where we explore how people build lives and hold up under pressure. Today I'm joined by Loryn and Edo Nalic, partners in life and work. And they're the force behind award-winning restaurants in St. Louis, primarily the Balkan Treat Box and Telva. But their story isn't just about restaurants and incredible food. Their story is about displacement, starting again, working without guarantees, and choosing to solve problems rather than be defined by them. But importantly, it's a story of collaboration and genuine partnership. And if you're not inspired by what you hear in this story today, I'll make you this promise. I'll buy you lunch at the Balkan Treat Box. That's how confident I am that this is going to be an amazing episode. And if nothing else, I'll get to go there myself. So Loryn, Edo, welcome. It's really good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start a little bit with how things got started. Edo, you grew up in Bosnia. You came to the U.S. as an immigrant around the time, or maybe in the middle of the war that was going on there. How old were you when you arrived here in the States, and what significantly, what do you remember most about not just coming here, but about your childhood in Bosnia?
So, grew up in Bosnia till the age of 9. Then the war started, we fled to Germany. We stayed in Germany from 92 till 99. We got deported from Germany, as many people did back then. Our stay was what they call the Duldung, which means tolerance. So we got a visa called, we were tolerated.
Okay.
And I believe it was extended every 6 months. So you never knew if it's going to get extended or not, or if you had to go back. So sometimes, I believe it was 98, or when the final decision came that we will be deported, and in 99 we went back to Bosnia, and I stayed there till 2004, and in 2004 I came to America.
Okay. And you came with some of your family, but not all of your family.
I have an aunt and uncle here and 2 cousins, so I came by myself.
Okay.
To be with them. And then after I established myself somehow, my brother came. It took about 7 years till he came?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8, something like
Okay.
that.
And Loryn, you had a completely different childhood. You grew up here in St. Louis, and you've had a passion for cooking since you were just a young child. So tell us a brief little bit about that, but also let us know what your life was like as far as stability and opportunity around the same time that Edo was getting settled here in the U.S.
Sure. So I grew up in South City, St. Louis. Raised in Catholic schools, so really small schools. I grew up over in the Carondelet area. I was there from, preschool to 8th grade. And then my parents got separated, and my dad moved to Los Angeles, and I went with him. Well, I ended up there for a while. Then would come back and visit, made my way back here to St. Louis. And yes, food has always been a huge part of my life. I mean, I think anybody that, it connects us, whether it's dinner at the end of the day with our family or holidays only, but that was something that always kind of resonated with me. My mom was a really good cook. My grandparents were chefs. My cousin is a chef. So I kind of food was always really just the center of everything. And I realized that I have I have 3 siblings. I'm the youngest of 4, and they were all very good students and did very well, and I was kind of a problem child. I realized the best way for me to get positive attention was to help my mom in the kitchen and figure out how to cook, and that was a way I got a loving, positive feeling from people in the family, because it was something that I took care of my brother and would make him pasta before his tennis matches or before he played soccer. I would make dinner for my parents when they would come home if I knew that I had a bad report card. It just like...
So you've been profiting from your cooking
I really
since a
have.
very
Yes,
early
I really
age.
have. Yeah. So I just learned, at a really young age that, people really do and can like fall in love through feeding them. Like, I think there's a saying about love and through the stomach. I don't know the quote, but
exactly.
I know there's one out there.
So that sets you on a path, but kind of skipping ahead just a little bit, you ended up with 2 children?
Yeah. So I was a single
mother.
mom when I met Edo, and it was a struggle. At the time, I was struggling to pay bills every month. I had multiple jobs, trying to find childcare. It was not easy. It wasn't an easy situation. I was working really hard in restaurants. At the time, actually, my kids were at a certain age where I couldn't really be working these super late nights. So I took a job in food sales, working for Cisco Food Service, which, by the way, I'm terrible at. It was not, but that's where I met Edo. So he was working at a restaurant in Little Bosnia, which is Bevo area in St. Louis, called Taft Street. And that was one of the first accounts that I called on. It was the first account that I landed as a salesperson. I mean, looking back, it's just interesting how it all unfolded, but that's how we originally met. Yeah.
So tell me more about that, Edo. The restaurant itself, was that, Little Bosnia, and let me step back. If I'm not mistaken, I've heard that St. Louis has the largest population of Bosnians outside of Bosnia. Is that correct? That is correct.
That's correct, yeah.
So clearly there's a demand for the Bosnian restaurant, which is where you were working. Was that family restaurant, or was that just people that you knew from the community?
Community, yeah. One of my family members took me there, said, hey, they need workers and this guy needs a job.
And the match was made.
Exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of matches, so Loryn, you were calling on the restaurant. I love the story about when you walked in and you first saw Edo there.
Yeah. So
What'd you tell him?
I mean, it's interesting because I think if you know our whole story, when you hear this, it's kind of cheesy, but at the same time, if you hear the whole story, it really is very cool. It's a very dark restaurant. The bunch of men in there drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes. So you open the door and it's like a cloud of smoke and it's dark. And I opened the door, and through the cloud of smoke and the darkness, the sun just shined on Edo. And I just felt something. I didn't know what it was, but I took a part of me, and I was taken back, whoa, what was that? And, came in, met him, met the owner, and then every Tuesday I was there. Every Tuesday I would see them, and he would be working behind the bar and as the server, letting me call him by the wrong name for almost a year. And we just kind of, I don't even know if I would call it developing a friendship. It was just he was very closed off. The guy that you know now was not the guy that I met there. Had very much of a thick wall up. You can tell that he had been, put through it and wasn't trusting people. And I didn't understand that, because I'm just hey, hi, super excited to just be there.
Well, it makes all the sense in the world, given what you just told us about your background. I mean, first of all, you're growing up in the middle of what became a pretty vicious war. You were deported, or you immigrated to Germany, and you didn't know from month to month, from day to day, what was going to go there. And then you end up in the States kind of alone. I can understand being guarded.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that fair to say that?
Well, yeah. And you have to be reserved. It's I don't know how to explain. It's kind of you tend up being suspicious of like
Right.
a lot of things. And I mean, at that time, we did not have many women come into that restaurant. It was mostly guys, and they would, go about their business, and they would deal with their things, what they have to deal with, and lots of characters. It was. I enjoyed it a lot, immensely, and every now and then. A woman would walk in, and everybody was, everything would stop. And like, who is she? What does she want?
It's like scenes you see in the movie when someone from a totally different place walks into the restaurant.
It felt like that.
Like when the city guy walks into a country bar.
Yes, that's how it felt.
So, but you two struck up a relationship of sorts, maybe friendship, maybe just a working relationship, but you started having not feelings for each other, but empathy for each other. You helped each other, right? I mean, you kind of started partnering a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, part of a job in sales was developing relationships with their customers, and they had a bartender at the time that was leaving for a month, and she only covered Tuesday nights. And so I had bartended before many times, so I covered those Tuesday night shifts. And then he would get off work and he would stay. And so, yeah, we would end up talking. I learned a little bit more about him. I wouldn't say that it was a friendship, but it was definitely, yes, I think hearing the story and hearing what, just they had all been through, like, was interesting to me. Then some time had passed, and he ended up coming in on some Tuesday night and like sat down at the bar, and I could just tell something was like very heavy, like weighing on him. And I'm pretty empathetic. Like I feel a lot, and I have a lot of strong feelings. And if someone is feeling, I feel that. So there was definitely this heaviness in the room, and he didn't really want to talk about it. And then eventually told me that he had gotten a letter of deportation from the United States. And I like that you're laughing, but I didn't understand. It made me really sad because from my standpoint as somebody that's always worked really hard, I see this person that had was working day in and day out, contributing, you know what I mean? Like working hard, like present, clearly like a, great member of our society. And I didn't understand why any of this was happening, and it really bothered me.
Edo, how did that affect you at the time? I mean, here's another deportation notice.
Oh, it's, you feel miserable, It's like, okay, now I got to go back, and especially to a part of the world where like at that time, everybody's future was still bleak. It's economically underdeveloped. You cannot really constructively plan ahead. You kind of go day by day. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So you feel like you feel defeated, and you feel like, man, there has to be something else out there where like this cannot be it. Like it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Like you're like you're. I know it's human nature that we get that like we. It's been like that throughout history. People don't like each other. People don't get along. People take over other countries. This is nothing new. It's been like that for thousands of years. It just sucks when it's when you're affected.
Yeah.
Like continuously.
Especially when you found a place of home and community, and you're working hard and doing everything that most people think we should do to be living a productive life, contributing. But Loryn, you made a decision when you heard that. Share that with us.
Yeah, we kind of. I was asking, like, well, how do you stay? Like what could happen, or how does one end up like deported versus being able to stay here? And he was saying like pretty much the only way that he could stay is if he married an American citizen. And like I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's intense. And well, we had kind of joked back and forth. I think he made a comment about like, don't be surprised if, I ask you to marry me. And I was like, ha ha ha, funny. And at the time I thought in my head, like, I will probably never get married again. Like, I just did not see that in my future at all. But then, you know, your instincts kick in and, you know, you're struggling. I'm struggling myself, and I'm struggling to keep the electric on in the apartment, like actually keep the electric and gas and the bills running in the apartment that I was living in with 2 kids. And I thought, you know, maybe this could benefit me too. And so I said something like, don't be surprised if I said yes. And then we talked about it, and it was very much an agreement that this is what we would do. Like he still wasn't going to be allowed to like be with my children or like any of that. Like it was very like structured, but that also like that agreement also shortened once we got to know each other a little bit more. But yeah,
I find that fascinating because clearly, I'm going to jump to a conclusion here, Edo. Clearly, you had some form of attraction to Loryn, even though she was a woman in your guy's restaurant.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, just take a look at her. But getting to know her a little bit, and then Loryn, for you to see the dire situation that Edo was feeling, and for you two to come together in a mutually beneficial way, to me, is just fascinating. But tell us a little bit more about what it was like early. I mean, because, you know, Edo not being near the children makes all the sense in the world. You were still getting to know each other as much as you cared for each other.
Yeah, and you have to understand at this point, like I said earlier, this is like this person that I'm sitting next to right now is not the same person that I like made this arrangement with. So, you know, some time passed, and we were kind of like romantically involved a little bit. It was like not super serious, like emotionally serious. But, you know, I think the more I got to know him, like here's this like very stoic, closed off human being. And then I go into where he's living in his living space, and he has pictures like blown up of his brother, his parents, family that that he did that, you know, and he missed them. And there was like a very strong connection there. And that also was very intriguing to me, like to have that bond with family like that. And to me, I was like, okay, like this is deeper than he's letting on. Like he's deeper than he's showing me. So little by little, like peeling back, like me also trusting him, and then him trusting me a little bit more. I would say by the time we ended up at the courthouse, we were like very smitten with one another. Like, so it was a very short time period of being like, this is an arrangement to like, no, this is something.
Well, trust takes quite a while to be built, and it also takes quite a bit of, I'm going to use the word bravery, to make a connection with another human like that. I mean, did it perhaps keep you from getting deported? Yes, but it's still...
I mean, we were married for 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
we're
I mean,
18 years
it's
in.
definitely long-lasting, and that gets us to the benefit of that relationship and how it's built from them. So you were working together at the restaurant, you were doing what it took to pay your bills, and when did food become a thought between you that it could be your future? What came from that, or did it? How did that happen?
Well, like that period was also the period of that economic collapse. So there was a pretty
2008.
Yeah, like quick shift from honeymoon into like stormy waters. Like because at that time the restaurant industry really, really struggled. So I had to pivot to other jobs that did not pay remotely as good as the restaurants were paying at that time, or right before then. So, and you were switching jobs too, right?
Yeah.
Like you went from Cisco to
Pappy's Smokehouse.
To Pepe's.
Yeah.
Like it was somewhat turbulent. It was a struggle to stay afloat, right? And I believe that like once that settled, that then we started talking about every now and then she would bring up that she would always wanted to have her own space.
Yeah, I mean, that was very early conversation, like getting to know each other. I always knew that I would do something on my own.
But I feel like because of that economic turmoil, that talk kind of like got pushed back. Like we kind of resumed that once we kind of like settled.
Yeah, and the kids were pretty young and still really needed us at that point, and it's not like we had anything to pull from. If we had like an abundance of cash, and then I think it would have been easier to say, let's do this. But, it was pretty scrappy. And by the time we started talking about, I started talking about wanting to do my own thing. Like I had put, almost 8 years into Pappy's, maybe 7 years into Pappy's. So it was just time. Like the kids were older. I was like, I really want to do this. I want to do something. And we were sitting at CJ Muggs in Webster Groves.
Okay.
And like, what are we going to do? And, what can I do? And food trucks were kind of a big deal at the time. Guerrilla Street Food, Soul Taco were really like everywhere. And it was super cool. And it seemed economically feasible. I also tried to figure out how to make this happen financially because we didn't have any savings. Like we had no money. And at the time I was working for Pappy's, and they were, they helped a lot too. And we can talk about that later, but we sat there and we were going back and forth between all these ideas that I had and I don't even know how we ended up settling on it, but somehow, some way we were like, why don't we do food from your region? Like, why don't we do food from the Balkan region? I had spent a lot of years like cooking for him, like trying to cook the food that I knew that he missed. I didn't do that great of a job at it,
but she was very, very thorough and curious.
Yeah. So yeah, we settled on doing that food, and I was like, gung ho, I was ready.
Okay. So you now have the idea that it's time. You have the concept of food truck might be it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've kind of settled on food from the Balkans.
Yes.
So you kind of got a core idea there.
And you're right, kinda. Like, it's all kinda. Like, like you have that.
But it's progress from I want to do something down the road.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to bring some substance to the idea, to the concept. So where did it go from there? And let me just say very quickly for the listeners, if you're not familiar, Pappy's Smokehouse is one of the greatest barbecue restaurants in all of America and certainly in St. Louis. It's a fabulous place, and the people there, we'll touch base on that a little bit more later in this talk, but just so people know what Pappy's is.
So where we went from there is, I think the conclusion was, Loryn, you need to go back. You need to go to Bosnia. You need to travel a little bit to experience it for yourself. The hospitality, the food, how it's made, how it's served, the simplicity of it at times. Like just so she gets a visual idea of what we constantly talked about.
I'm sitting on the other side of that table, like looking at him, and he's telling me I'm thinking like, I got this, right? Like I'm going to work with so many people in St. Louis, and I'm going to go ask people to cook with them, and I'm going to do as much R&D that I can do here because there are so many Bosnians.
Yeah. And they're willing to help. Yeah.
He's sitting across from me telling me I need to go to Bosnia. I had never left the country before. Like I had never traveled. I had never gone anywhere. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him knowing that I have these 2 kids. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like going over there to cook? I don't even speak the language. And at the table, we agreed that I would do that. And I did that.
And off you went. So let me take another little sidestep. Edo, explain to me and our listeners kind of the countries that make up the Balkan region. There's Bosnia, obviously.
Yeah, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Albania. Geographically, it's the European part of Istanbul, Croatia, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria.
Okay. So and all of those different cultures have similarities in food, but subtle differences, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I discovered when I was over there. We didn't really say Balkan food. Like when we were sitting at the table, that was never a conversation. Balkan was not
Right.
on the table. It was just like food that he grew up with.
Right.
And so when I made myself go over there, it was 2013, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 2013. I realized as we traveled through these countries, me meaning myself with his brother, Edo was still in the States, that there's this link, that these foods connect. And it's culturally, yes, Bosnians have their food, and, the Greeks have their food, and the Ottomans have or Turks have their food, and Serbians, but it's all so similar. So from a creative cook perspective, as I'm traveling through that region, I found it very difficult to say, I'm having grape leaves here in Bosnia, and now I'm having grape leaves here in Greece, and now I'm having them in Turkey. What makes them different, right? And when I came back, like we had these really long, deep conversations about it, and you realize like these regions are so ancient, and they'd been taken over by different, like the Ottomans, the Austrians. Like there's so many different cultures to pull from, and yes, that is their food of the region, but it's also similar. That when we started talking about it, like I think he was the one that was like, well, it's all Balkan food, and so that's how we ended up like, well, this makes sense now. So now, from my perspective as a cook, as a creative, I can get in there and look at, like, as you travel from, like from north down to south through like where the Eastern European side of Turkey is, like you start getting into the chilies and, a little more spice. And then as you go through, it like levels out a little bit where you have more like paprika, salt and pepper, garlic, very more basic, calm flavors. So you have this like full, just, I don't know, from
full array of
Yes,
taste and senses and
yes.
flavors. So when you're doing all this, you're on your own, out of the country for the first time, and you went over there and met Edo's family, right? Mother, father, parents, siblings?
My parents thought that she's nuts.
I think everybody thought I was nuts.
She's like,
crazy
she's gonna do
American,
what?
right?
Yeah.
She's gonna, okay.
Yeah. So we had been married at that point for 5 years, and we had met each other over Skype,
Yeah. My parents did not come at that point.
but we had never met in person.
Okay.
And so I was meeting them really for the first time on this trip. It was,
They said you said that you were married to Edo, and they said, "Who is this
Yeah.
Edo?" Because
Yes.
you
Yeah,
were
'cause I was
pronouncing the name differently.
pronouncing the name wrong, yes. There was a lot of that.
So while you're going through all of that, which had to be interesting and scary and worrisome with your children and just all sorts of emotions, what was it like for you at Edo, knowing that she was there with your family and that you were kind of watching her children and kind of, quote unquote, holding down the fort?
Nothing but excitement to get that going, Yeah.
What a great attitude.
He really, I always had like a want to do these sort of things, but didn't really have the confidence. Edo's really given me the confidence that I needed to push through and do what I'm capable of. Like I
mean, this is the greatest country, I believe it. And when you have the opportunity to do, I mean, there are not many obstacles. And I knew that I'm betting on myself, I'm betting on her, and for me, that's a winning bet.
Okay.
So, like, come on, let's go,
That's what a great lesson for me and everyone listening. It's we've got this, and let's get to it. So you perfected or really became expert in cooking in that tradition of the Balkan countries, and you came back, and now it's food truck time. You had a challenge with that truck because those of you watching on YouTube, and if you're not, Google Balkan Treat Box, because The oven that's behind us here on the wall in this picture is critical to the cooking of everything.
Yeah.
To put that on a truck, just to start with that on a truck, had to be a challenge.
I don't think we should waste too much time on the build out, but we should just say that we found a local local builder that was outfitting the food trucks.
Right.
And we visited his shop, and he supposedly worked, quote unquote, on one truck, and it looked impeccable. And we felt confident of giving him the job. He absolutely and completely
Screwed us over. And that truck sat in our driveway for...
The truck sat for, over a year, right?
After I drove away with the truck, had to basically steal it back. The equipment was falling in the truck. I called him and I was like, all the equipment is falling in the truck because it wasn't secured. And then we parked it in the driveway, and then it sat there for 3 years.
It was supposed to be from, I believe, February to April was the 2-month build-out time.
Yeah, I resigned from my job.
We picked it up in September, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was completely falling apart. It was not finished. And then it sat in our driveway for like a year and a half.
Longer.
Probably 2 years.
It was 2 years. And everyone told us to sell it and give up.
Yeah,
Every single person in our lives said, it's time to hang it up. You can't go back, get your job back.
You lost the money.
You lost the money. You lost the time.
The two of you have gone through so many challenges, met the challenges and accepted them. And what an amazing example of resilience. So however you got through that, it's a thread in your story that continues to this day. Help me understand, Balkan Treat Box. How did the name come about?
That was me.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of dreaming, and a lot of my dreams, like, I remember, and I end up like coming up with things like while I sleep. I don't know. I can't explain it. But Emir, his brother, was in St. Louis at the time, and they were sitting on the couch, and I woke up and I came out and I was like, I got it, like Balkan Treat Box. Well, there is a very cool band called Balkan Beatbox.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite bands. It always has been. They do like fun sample music. So they sample pieces of music from all over the world, and then they put these songs together. They're pretty cool. And we were obviously in a box truck. Every time we would go somewhere to eat, like Edo was always like, this is such a treat. Like, that's how they would refer to being.
Eating out at home is not common. It's like a treat. You know?
So there were just all these combinations that came together, and I was like, this is it. And then they both really liked it, and that's how the name came to be.
So you've got the truck finished finally after all the turmoil, and you have the name, and you have the incredible skill to produce the product. So from there it was just easy peasy, easy street, right? It just turned right into success. No. Well, tell us more.
The cool part is like we did. When his dad and cousin finished the truck, his dad came over to visit, and they took a few weeks and just did it.
He's like. They came to visit, and then
his cousin wrapped it, everything. And then, family just pitched in.
Some other friends were like, "Why did you never tell us about this problem? We'll fix it." And then literally, they fixed it in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, and so it was ready.
They put everything in it: the gas, the oven, everything.
Everything. So it was ready, but it was also winter. So the International Institute was having their holiday party. So we did our first 2 services ever on that truck were the International Institute, and we served our food for the very first time, and it was great and well received. I think in that.
In that little bubble.
Yeah, in that little international bubble.
Yeah.
And it was exciting, and then it sat over the winter because, like I told you earlier, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there for a food truck in St. Louis, all 4 seasons. So we waited until the spring of 2017, and we sprung and could not sell food to save our lives.
Yeah, there was one, what's the company called? Wells Fargo. Was it Wells? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, over by Pat Peace. Yeah.
They would allow food trucks to park every day.
And
Because
City Garden.
at that time, and City Garden. But we went to Wells Fargo first because it was, we just wanted to
Well, we didn't.
get people to know it, right?
Well, that was after we had tried going back and forth. So we'd park at City Garden, we'd park at Wells Fargo. We just couldn't get people to like come.
Couldn't get traction.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so we decided like we're just going to stay at Wells Fargo. We're going to teach these people about what we're doing. We're going to come here every day.
And at that time, Wells Fargo had close to 5,000 people working there every day.
Okay.
So it was, and they had like 5, 6 trucks parked every day.
Every day. And we would sit there and we would, have a service, and then the day would end and we'd be like, what can we do different tomorrow?
We had an A-frame menu with pictures.
And then we took the pictures away.
And
then we just did words, but the words are big.
People kept just walking by, and they would walk by the truck. They would look at the glance over at the menu, and they just keep walking.
And then we took the menu away and made him talk to people.
Yeah, so we wave them over, come, give them samples. We went from literally selling 6, 7 items a day to, gradually, but
yeah, it was a great day if we sold 6 things.
yeah.
And then
we made, $100. We made $200. We made
yeah.
Another great example of perseverance, because as a former brand manager guy who had a campaign built around food, photographing food is one of the hardest things to do in marketing. Making photographs of food look appealing is
ours did not.
Is a skill. Then if you go to the words of some of your items are so unfamiliar to Americans. We can't say them, much less know what they mean. But what gets me is how people could walk by your truck. The aroma from your restaurant and from your food is just enticing.
That was it. Ultimately, he started giving out samples. People would be like, wow, that really smells good. And he would be like, well, come try it. And then he'd give a sample, and then somebody would come buy it. And then the next day, they'd bring 2 people. Yeah. And then the next day, those 2 people would bring 2 people.
Friends telling friends.
And then eventually, we're working our tails off, and people are explaining the food to other people. We got to stop saying what everything was and it was like, I'm going to get emotional.
It's okay.
And I remember cooking on the oven, moving in that oven, moving the dough around and the pies around, and just being listening to people talk about the food and tell people about the food. And it was just one of the most proud moments ever, to realize that you touched somebody so deeply that they remembered these words. They cared. And not only are they describing it, but they're doing it the way that you told them, because they feel just as passionate about eating it.
You were able to pass on that feeling, and that's a hard thing to do, to pass on an emotion and a feeling and a connection. And that's what your lives have been about, is building connection before you knew each other, when you were kind of manipulating your parents for bad grades and you were going through all of your travels. And that's amazing. But it's also kind of the realization of a childhood dream for you.
Yeah.
And a couple's dream for the both of you. That's amazing. So the food truck ultimately became very successful and was one that was very keenly searched for to find out where you were going to be. They didn't have to go to one place. And then to survive, and we've talked about this prior to recording, certainly in St. Louis or any place with bitter cold winters, food trucks aren't year-round. Yeah. So the thought of actually opening what I'll call brick-and-mortar restaurant clicked. And tell us about how that came to be.
We decided that it was a time, and the concept kind of proved itself. So there would be it would work. So we looked for a commercial real estate agent. We told him what we were looking for: a small space, 1,500, 1,800 square feet. Right, that was the maximum that we wanted. Yeah. He started taking us all over the place, showcasing us all kinds of sizes, and
it was a waste of time.
It was a waste of time. So we were like, okay, he's not hearing us. We're not finding it. We should just table it for now. And then we live right behind our restaurant. And we have been...
like right by Bethesda.
Yeah, we have been way before the food truck too. So one day we were going
home.
No, we went to like maybe Wells Fargo, maybe we went to work, and there were for lease signs on the building where the restaurant is now. It used to be Stratton's Cafe.
Right, I remember that.
And we got really excited about it.
We just
but
I started calling everybody I knew.
You know, not too hopeful, but because we still don't have any money, nothing.
Yeah.
So she started calling people, calling friends, inquiring about the space. And then we went to Grace Meat and Tree. We had lunch with Ricky, the proprietor of Grace Meat and Tree. And we told him about the space. And he said, this is so weird. He's like, my friend Joe owns that space.
Owns that building.
Owns that building. And I'm going hunting with him.
Do you want me to call him?
I'm going.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll call him. And he calls him while we're sitting there. And he said, listen, Joe, my friends, they would love to see the space. Can you please show it to them? I vouch for them.
And then turns out that this guy he owns the Emos in Webster Groves. And my cousin had been working for him for like 30 years. And then so we meet and I was like, I'm Rob's cousin. And so Rob is like, you know, gunning for us. Ricky's gunning for us. Like they're asking everybody, like, because we're unknown, you know, like that building, that space is prime real estate.
Yes, it is.
And he told me, he's like, I have established restaurants that want to get in here. And he took a shot on us.
And he said that Ricky and Rob are vouching for you. If you think you can do it, go ahead. Like you got it.
He gave us a shot.
And that's it, like handshake. Like that's how we established a relationship.
And it's been like that ever since. He's like,
Joe Stratton is
like
the man.
He is the man.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you from all of us that are able to enjoy Balkan Treat Box in that store and everything beyond that. So the restaurant started, and I don't want this to become too long of an episode, so I'm kind of glossing over a few things, and it's going to sound a lot simpler when I say it than what you two went through. But the restaurant opened and became highly successful.
Yeah.
And it was really growing and doing well. Part of what made it appealing from a consumer's perspective is when you first opened because you needed to do this, but from a consumer, it was really fear of missing out. It's we open at 11 and we're open till we run out of food. Well, I'm not going to wait to get there. So that's part of how things kind of came together for you. But then 2020 happened, and a little something called the pandemic. And the food and restaurant business was really crushed by that, as everyone was, but in particular going out. You guys managed to react and plan around that and survive. Share that with us.
I mean, we didn't even, because of the whole opening at 11 and selling out of food, we were still trying to figure out how to build stock and product. And one of the things was we didn't do takeout. So you couldn't order online. You couldn't call in order. If you waited in line, we would put it in a box. But we had very little paper products to put your food in to go. So we never did that. Then COVID happened, and that's the only way you could do business was through to go. And we had to figure out what that looked like for us. And figure out how to make it safe and accessible for people during that time. At first, we lost like half our staff, and then it was like 3/4 of our staff, and then I think at some point it was just me and Edo and like 2 other people that were running, and doing things as much as we could, like getting as creative as possible to continue to bring in some sort of income because we had rent to pay. But it taught us a lot.
There was also the initial period of people supporting, but then you knew that if this prolongs, it's not sustainable. because like we're not. Like I don't know how to explain. It's like that like you don't build the restaurant so you can just pump and dump. Does it make sense? Like you wanted to make that connection, and then all of a sudden
it gets taken away from
it just
you.
felt like there is no connection with people. There is no like you don't talk to them. We set up tables outside. We put the food outside on the tables. They would just pull up and grab it, and you hope nobody steals it.
Yeah.
It was very, very weird.
It was a weird time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was odd times, but again, you both adapted so well, and your team adapted so well to go from no carryout to coming up with a process for carryout that worked seamlessly from someone who used the service. It's very similar to the process you have in the restaurant itself. Where you don't go in and just grab a table and sit down and hang out till you're ready to order. You order, they say, go to this table, and they bring the food, and it all flows brilliantly. The other thing you did, though, to help get through that was you figured out how to make pidés frozen.
Yeah.
And sell them go. And anyone listening, if you want to try this, Balkan Treat Box sells on Goldbelly nationwide. You can get this product. And part of what makes them so good, and part of the reason they didn't have carryout, takeaway, is because their food is fresh. It's always fresh, and that's the key ingredient to why the Balkan food is so rich and so loved, because it's not something they make and store and sit around under heat lamps.
Yeah.
It's like out of the oven on your plate and or in your package, and off you go.
Yeah, we deeply care about quality and deeply care about doing things what I would consider the right way for us.
For us,
you know?
yeah.
For everybody. And there, I would hope, and it would be great if there were more of that type of attitude.
Well, we had like 11 till 3, for example. Like we also, there's only so much we could have managed at that time. Mm-hmm. But as you were, like now we're Friday and Saturday, we make about 600 somun.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, probably a little bit more. Before we would make at most maybe 150, 180.
Somen is the bread that a lot of the food
somen
is
is the
based
bread,
on and made with, and
they
it's
get served every
spectacular.
day, and whatever is left over, we repurpose it. We don't use it for actual sandwiches.
Right.
Might be bread pudding, or
It's just everything has come together so great, and that somen is what's baked in this oven. Again, that's on the picture behind us. But during that time, it was an incredible period of collaboration and support across the whole restaurant community in St. Louis, where everyone, as I understand it, kind of looked out for each other and did what you could to help, whether it's providing labor or just verbal support, or, hey, this idea is working for me, try this. Share that collaboration.
I was just going to say, like, part of you saying that to go ended up seamless, like that didn't come from our brains. That came from like getting in there and like talking to our colleagues and like asking, what works for you? Like, how do you do this? How do you set this up? How do you make that? We were on the phone with people every day, like, cause we were constantly up against some new problem that we were trying to solve. And we weren't alone, it was like not just us, it was several other restaurants that were going through the same thing. And Kui at My Lee's, like, they've always done a really great carryout business. And he was like one of the first people I talked to, like, how do you do this? Like, what are the operations behind being able to do that much carryout? I mean, he walked me through a lot of that. And, the community we all did that for one another. Like, I had restaurants calling me, like food trucks calling me. We would take the food truck into neighborhoods, have them pre-order, and then they would come pick it up at the food truck. I mean, we were doing everything we could to get food to people and to have people come get food from us. And
that to me is a mark of the success that you two have and continue to have, because you survived COVID and the pandemic. Things came back somewhat to, I'll use the word normal, as normal as we can say things are. But from there, you had another opportunity presented to you that involves what we call soccer and what your part of the world might call football.
Yep.
How share that?
Well, the once the news broke that St. Louis is getting a team, people started reaching out and asking if we would want to be a part. They presented this whole new concept, unheard of, unseen to that point. Most of the food will be run with local restaurants, and they wanted. They asked if we wanted to be a part of it. We got really excited, but like we wanted to initially, but we also wanted to see like what's that gonna look like how much how committed are they, how committed can we be, and the more we talked, the more excitement grew. Like we realized that we cannot miss out on being a part of history. Like, and we want to align ourselves with the best in the city, and I think we did. It was excitement from day one, and it still is. Like the staff is excited to work it. We are excited to be there.
So the opportunity that Edo is talking about is St. Louis got a major soccer league team franchise here in St. Louis, obviously, with local ownership, local female ownership, by the way, and they made the commitment that their concessions were going to be driven by, manned by, sold by local vendors. And Balkan Treat Box was one of those invited to be a part of that.
They did an online poll of like, who do you want to see in St. Louis?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were like, what St. Louis businesses do you want to see inside the stadium? And we were one of the businesses that the public was like, Balkan Treat Box.
Which goes back to your comment earlier about how important it is to make connection with your customers as opposed to just ringing the register. And that's what we call delivering value. I mean, customers want that not just because of the food, but because of the relationship they have with you guys. So now the soccer park's up and running, but again, you don't sit back. There are more restaurants to open, and you opened Telva at the Ridge, and in the same location adjacent to it, I believe, you opened an event space called the Ridge Room. That's going strong. What is Telva, and how does that coincide? How does that fit with Balkan Treat Box?
Well, Telva's menu was actually long conceptualized before Telva ever became a thing, because Balkan Treat Box was supposed to be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
So we originally went into opening that restaurant thinking we would be doing way more than we were able to actually do. Obviously, we would go until we sold out of food, and we would continue to work on how to increase that. So that didn't happen. And that was just part of our, I mean, if you were on our team at the time, you knew we were having those conversations. Like, how do we extend hours? How do we grow? How do we produce more? So Telva's menu has always been there, which is interesting. But we developed a relationship with the people that own Rolling Ridge Nursery. We parked the truck there quite a few times, just being Webster residents, made connections with the people there. Ended up developing a good relationship, and they had this space that they wanted to
that was unused,
and they wanted to rent it out, and they had asked, I think they had
prior to
COVID,
sure.
They'd talked to me about it. They'd talked to several people about using this space. It was going to be a bunch of different things. Fast forward, COVID's it's the end of COVID. And they're like, okay, do you know anybody? And so I called a bunch of people that I knew to bring them over to the space, looking at it. It's yeah, it's a great space. What do we do with it? It was a very volatile time to try to say let's get into the restaurant business, and I don't know, Edo and Emir and I sat down one day and we were just why don't we just do it?
Yeah.
It's part of the culture. Coffee is a huge part of their culture, and being able to bring that part to, our neighborhood just became something that we all really felt good about. I thought it was going to be a sleepy cafe that served some decent food, and they.
So initially, she's okay, how you walk into Telva from the back entrance, right?
There's a small little cafe area.
She's like, this is going to be the cafe area.
And then this will be the rental space.
And that's going to be the rental space. And we're like, it's all going to be packed, Loryn. And she's like, no, it's not. It's not. So prior to us opening, we booked out that rental space quite often over the weekend. Well, what happened is Telva started getting jam-packed, especially on the weekend. And we had to tell people that they cannot sit in that room because we have a private party going on. It was
a mess. Long story short, that Sleepy Cafe is not a cafe. It is a full-blown restaurant.
It's fun.
And
I love it.
It's a great place. I love our guests there.
Yeah.
It's not sleepy at all.
It's not sleepy.
But it's very cool and it's very relaxed.
We hope that everybody feels welcomed and
it's got an upbeat vibe to it.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah. I always say that Balkan is like the party, and then Telva is where you go to relax.
Okay. And you can relax in the morning and then go party in the afternoon if you choose.
That's right.
And now you're looking to extend hours at Balkan. So again, part of the point I really want people to take away from is consistency, persistence, and keep growing when you can grow. I mean, it's if we can avoid complacency, it gives us a chance to reach greater heights. And it's kind of that simple.
I love that. Yep.
And what I love about the two of you, there's a saying that I've heard, and I might misquote it, but I think it's correct, that the total is greater than the sum of its parts. You two individuals are amazing, impressive individuals. You two together are a freaking powerhouse. And it's cool to see and it's cool to experience. And with that, I'm going to give you some quick fire questions here.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Let's start with you, Edo. What does Loryn do that makes your life easier than she probably realizes?
She's very loving and at times just tolerant with my parents. Like very, I can see that she has a lot of, she cares for them a lot, about them. She thinks about them, not just like when we talk about them, but, she would bring up things to me like, hey, what about this? What about that? Which makes my life very, very, like, I feel like she's in, we're a good team. In that. Like we do cover these bases outside from just me and her. Like,
And for those of you not watching, Loryn's tearing up just a little bit there. But it's your turn. What does Edo do that makes you feel steadier even on hard days?
He believes in me and believes in us and believes in what we do, like so deeply to his core. It keeps my head on straight, like I have never felt steady. I never felt comfortable. I've never felt, solid. And he's given me the luxury of that feeling.
Amazing. Edo, you're up. What part of yourself really shows up better because of Loryn?
I get to be I don't know how to explain. I can be more loving, more affectionate. Like she allows me that. She's not weirded out by it.
So
does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. And the way I understand that is she makes you comfortable enough that you can lower some of those walls that we talked about earlier.
I'm very hands-on and like I'm all over her.
Affectionate.
And,
yeah.
Okay. Loryn, what part of you relaxes most when Edo's around?
I can accept the affection. I will melt into it. I'm very high strung and my brain is always running and I'm always thinking and I'm always trying to problem solve. Like, I don't think that ever goes away. So I feel tense a lot and I can melt away with Edo.
Okay, this is a toss-up. You can answer it either one or both. When something goes wrong at work, who moves first and who steadies things?
Loryn she is great at reeling it back in, dissecting it, executing. She's like what we do is we discuss, like there might be a strategy, but she's really good at getting the point across. She's good at coming up with a plan, with execution. She has such innate leadership skills that cannot really be taught, but are rare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's Loryn. Like she is.
Okay.
She's a force.
We'll see if my assumption on the answer to this question is correct. Who's the most patient?
Oh my God, it's definitely him. Yeah, it's definitely him. As I just said, I'm pretty high strung, and, I'll get ahead of myself quite often. Usually he adapts to that and can calm me down and lets me like work through a lot of the stuff that will come up that I feel panicked about, or maybe that I feel like things are falling apart, and he'll listen, and then we'll talk through it and usually like come out on the other side. But yeah, he's definitely the more patient one.
The calming influence.
Yes.
Edo, when you're not working, what foods do you like most from home?
From home, burek. I love klepe, which is these like dumplings. Sogan dolma, the stuffed onion, probably my favorite. Anything my mom makes, pretty much, yeah.
Do you happen to have a favorite American food?
I mean, a really good burger I love. Every now and then, the chicken and dumplings that
Yeah.
that
Okay.
they make. I'm not too big on fried chicken.
Okay.
I don't know
I
why.
love fried chicken.
You love fried chicken, Loryn says. So, Loryn, when you're cooking for just the two of you, or for family, the kids, whomever, what do you cook then?
So my kids would tell you that like they don't have a favorite food that I've made because I really use them as guinea pigs. Like I don't think I made the same thing twice in our house. Like very, very rare. And when it was like, like some sort of chicken and rice dish with, I don't know, raisins and corn and peas and peppers or something. But I don't know. I mean, I'm constantly cooking something different all the time.
She's really good at opening up the fridge and figuring it out. Like her friends would call her and say, "Hey, Loryn, this is what I have in the fridge. What can I do with it?"
I always said
like
if I
that
had
was before it was common to look up recipes.
If I had a food show, like if somebody put me on TV, that's what I would want. I would want to be sitting there and people calling in and being like, "Loryn, I have this,
Yeah.
and this. What do I make for dinner?" That's like, I don't know. It's a fun challenge.
So that part of my affection for you both and for all of your outlets is my wife Tara and I have marked several special occasions with you both. But what you just made me think of is Tara, because she calls it cobbling. I said, what do we have for dinner? She says, I'm going to cobble something together, and it's amazing. Whatever. And I said, well, how'd you do that? She said, I don't know. I used what we had.
That's a special gift.
It's brilliant. It is a gift, and it shows confidence enough to experiment and be okay if it's great, and be less okay, but accept it if it doesn't turn out quite as well.
There's a lot of that.
So Loryn, Edo, again, thank you for your time. We've talked about how you two started as a couple, how you started as kids, all of the challenges you've gone through, all of the bright future that you still have. We've talked about collaboration with others and between the two of you. But it's time now for each of you to answer in your own way the question that every guest on the show is asked, and that's, when you put it all together, what's the point?
I can answer this first because this is really meaningful. The point is what I've gained from doing this and continue to do that and continue to keep doing this is I've gained an amazing family in Edo and his family. I've gained the confidence that comes with having a network like that. I've gained the beautiful experience of being part of a community, having people, make, celebrations in your space and let me cook for them and be a part of big, fun events that really mean something to me. I still, my favorite thing to do in life is to stand in any part of the restaurant and watch people consume the food that we've created for them. It's still a moving experience. It's given me confidence. It's given me love. It's given me family. It's given me stability. I mean, and who doesn't want more of that?
Beautifully said.
Right.
Edo?
Cannot top that.
Okay.
Well, I think for me, like a part of it is the importance to like we're bringing people together. Like we are not much different. If you know what I mean? Like we don't differ much, even though we grew up different continents, different religions. The innate thing that's embedded is a sense of belonging that everybody longs for, and I feel like that like we provide that through our places, through both Balkan and Telva, that everybody is welcome. We get to enjoy the like you said, like some of the things you tried, like reminded you of some of the things you already had somewhere else. So it's not much different. Like we're all
the same.
similar.
And one thing I've learned in life is that if we can look for the similarities rather than the differences, things get a whole lot better for all of us.
And like we love to laugh, we love family, we love sense of belonging, security, freedom. Yeah, and America gives you that. It gave my family all of that. Sense of belonging, sense of like opportunity to be yourself, to express yourself. What more can you want?
And that collaboration of different people and different cultures are what truly make America what it is today, in my opinion. So thank you both for your time. It's been excellent. And those of you listening, if you've had your taste buds start to wake up and dance a little bit, again, if you're in the St. Louis area, stop by Balkan Treat Box or Telva. And if you're not, go to Goldbelly and check out Balkan Treat Box's offerings. I guarantee you will not be disappointed, and I'm not at all disappointed in this show. Thank you both for your time and just for being the people that you are.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bill.
Thank you for being such a valued customer for years, and I feel like we're becoming friends.
That we are. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Thanks for listening to What's the Point. If this conversation meant something to you, we hope you'll follow the show and share it with someone who might also benefit from it. And if you know a guest with a story worth exploring, send me a message, bill@billellis.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.